एक्चुअली कितने लोगों को इंग्लिश समझ में नहीं आता है, सिर्फ हिंदी ही चाहिए? Everyone understands English, so the class can be in English. So actually today is the Krishna Prabhu was supposed to take the session, but I think many of you know he fell sick. He was not able to come here for session. So he empowered me and said, "I'm just putting proxy." So I'm also studying devotee, and I came in touch with devotees about 14 years back, 2010, when I was doing my engineering. English is okay, right? Everyone is able to understand. So 2010, when I was doing my engineering, I came across devotees, and there the journey began. So today's topic also is related to that itself. So but before we go into that, let us do the prayers. Then we'll start. ज्ञानातिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीरामकमलम् श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं भजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे शून्यवादी महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेमामृताय कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामे गौरवते कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता सप्तकांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि आचार्यपरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्ण। Right. So I heard that this particular session is going on since few weeks now on Nectar of Devotion lecture series. So today's discussion is going to be on eligibility for accepting and advancing in devotional. Like we might all have a lot of stories and pastimes. At least I have heard a lot how people come to Krishna consciousness. Like for example, there was one thing. This is a Sri Vaishnava story where there was one, I would say, rowdy kind of a person. It's a long back, and he falls in love with a Vaishnavi, devotee girl, who's wearing sari, tilak, coming to temple, following related principles. This is like a typical South Indian movie. Maybe that's where they have picked the storyline from that particular pastime of Sri Vaishnavas. So he falls in love with her, and he goes to her and he says, and I like you very much, I want to marry you. So she says, what are you talking about? Have you looked at yourself? He says, am I not good looking? She says, good looking is not the problem. You are like a rowdy. You're beating up people, you're taking hafta from people, everyone is scared of you, and you all have all sorts of eating habits, you speak filthy language. I don't want to marry someone like I want to marry a Vaishnava. And she walks up. So then he does some research. Okay, she likes Vaishnava. Then he does research. Who is a Vaishnava? Then Vaishnava is someone who wears dhoti kurta. His friends. You can imagine what kind of friend circle he will have. So he asks him, who is a Vaishnava? How to become a Vaishnava? He says Vaishnava is one who wears dhoti kurta, one who wears tilak, kanti mala, comes to temple. He's a Vaishnava. So next day he clean shaves and wears dhoti kurta, tilak, kanti mala, comes to temple and tells, see, I become a Vaishnava now. Now let's get married. So then she tells, hey, what nonsense. Vaishnava is not someone who just dresses like a Vaishnava. Vaishnava is someone who serves devotees, serves other Vaishnavas. So then he says, okay. From that day onwards, every morning, afternoon, evening, you would come to temple and you would serve prasad. So a lot of devotees come to temple that day. So you would serve. So because of picking up this, doing this service to devotees in huge quantity, a lot of devotees are serving, and serving prasadam is a menial service. Sitting and giving class also is a service. And cleaning the floor or serving prasadam is also a service. But that is actually a menial service. So that is the reason when someone picks up to Krishna consciousness, we don't give them to sit on asana in the first place. First, they do services, they do menial services, cleaning, washing vessels. That is another big service. Menial services. So he starts doing menial services. And because of that, his heart gets transformed. He starts liking that service. So initially he liked what? The girl. And because of that, he was ready to do service. But then as he was doing more and more service, his attraction and his affection for that particular service increased a lot. Because of which after, and this girl also was watching, okay, yesterday he came, today he came, then tomorrow he also is coming, he's coming from 1 week, he's coming from 2 weeks, he's coming from 1 month, he's coming from 3 months. And she thought, okay, I think now I can marry this. I can see stability in this person. She goes to him and says, okay, I am now considering marrying you. But he says, Mataji, I have no more interest in marriage. I want to continue serving devotees. So today's whole class is summarized in this one small aspect. So what basically it says, what is eligibility to take up Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti? So Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti means we are actually wanting to develop affection for Krishna, but right now we don't have any affection. We are honest about it. So we are ready to follow some process by which eventually we'll come to the point where we'll be able to have affection for Krishna. The difference, so there is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and there is Raganuga Sadhana. Raganuga Bhakti is where one devotee was very beautifully explaining it when I was in my third year of Krishna consciousness. He said Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti is you alarm rings and you get up, like alarm 4 o'clock alarm or 3 o'clock, whatever time you get up in the morning. And you stop the alarm and then you continue doing your having bath and chanting and everything. Whereas Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti is you get up before the alarm rings. You are already up and alarm is ringing and then you put it and continue your service. That is the difference. So in Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, you have to push yourself. There is struggle involved. Whereas in Raganuga Bhakti, it is effortless. Very good. I'm meeting you after a long time. So, what is required? What is the eligibility attraction to Krishna's service? So, this pastime that we saw, where there is this boy who is attracted to a girl, but then from there, that attraction goes to serving Krishna. And even better is serving Krishna's devotees. Like this pastime that I gave you was actually what happened in Shiva Sampradaya. Even within ISKCON, there are so many pastimes of how people become attracted to Krishna. There was one person who came to one of our temples in Mumbai, and he actually was feeling very lonely and very depressed in life. So he comes to the temple some similar time like 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock he comes. Darshanarthi is going on, Guru Puja is going on, devotees are singing and dancing. So he comes to the deities. So he's a brand new person. So he comes to the temple, he comes to the deities, and he's praying that Krishna, I have no friends. I have nobody in life to share my feelings. So he was standing there, and behind Guru Puja was going on. So we know now after coming to ISKCON, we know what kind of dancing we do. So he prayed to the Lord that now there are dancing going on. If somebody holds my hand and pulls me for dancing, I'll consider you have sent him in my life to become my friend. So this is what he does pray, the deities, and he stands in one corner. He wants to dance, but he doesn't dance, and he's waiting for people to pull. So then he was standing in one corner, and there was one, and this is actually a temple where there are a lot of brahmachari devotees also in Medicare. So the dancing kirtan was going on. Guru Puja was in full swing at the peak. Kirtan was in full speed. Lot of devotees were dancing, and suddenly, as the dancing was going on, inside there was a devotee who was extra ecstatic. He was doing a lot of different types of dancing inside. So while he was swirling around, he loses balance and he goes and straight falls on his devotee. This person was standing, and he catches him and pulls him into the dancing field. And he starts dancing. He's ecstatic. The best time he had is in his life. So dancing goes on for 15 minutes more. Then the kirtan ends, and then all devotees pay obeisance, and then they go back to their respective duties. Some other go back to ashram. The class goes on. So after the class was over, prasadam was over. This devotee is now this person is now searching for who was that person who pulled me in the dancing field. Because according to him, that person is not sanctified. So the problem is there were 150 brahmacharis in that temple, right? And all brahmacharis are shaven-headed and saffron. So literally, he had to go and check with every devotee: is this the devotee? Is this the devotee? Is this... Somehow he got entered into brahmachari ashram also. There, about 80 devotees are taking rest after their powerful morning. So he's literally waking them up, and finally, after half an hour of waking about 10-15 devotees, he found that devotee who pulled him into the dance. And that devotee actually took him to another devotee about, oh, this is a brand new, fresh, right candidate for our Bhagavad Gita class. And today that devotee is a proper established initiative. Okay. So, this is an example of how people come to Krishna consciousness, attraction to Krishna service. Okay. Similarly, in ISKCON Juhu, we had one person who actually came to the temple just because there are three deities in ISKCON. I think I shared this past time. There are three deities, and there are three shrines for each of them, the Gopuram as we call it. And three pujaris come, blow the conch shell at the same time, and then they open the altar. At all times this happens. So, but when they blow the conch shell at the same time, the three conch shells, the sound combine together, and finally it forms one sound. That is really intoxicating. So one person was attracted to that, not to the deities, not to the holy name, no prasad, nothing. And he was living just close to the temple. So first day he heard, he was in his house and he heard, what is this sound? The next day he got up at 4 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock. Went to have bath and everything, went to the temple, 4:30. Because it is India, most people have the sense, mandir jana hai to naake jana hai, non-veg nahi khana hai and all. So he went to the temple at 4:30, 4:45. And then the three conch shells blew together. And when it happened, he was extreme. Conch shell blew. The pujaris who watched the conch shell went inside to open the altar, and this person turned back and went back to his home. No darshan, nothing. This happened for 3-4 days. Then one time, I think during it was a very rush hour period, Janmashtami or something. They were not able to go back. Rush was so much, so he stayed back. And then the Mangalarti happened, Tulsi Arati happened, and then Mangalarti we offered gel, water to the deities. And what we generally see is whatever is offered to the deities is eventually offered to the devotees. So the water which was offered, the pujari comes, takes it in hand, and throws to the audience or the devotees who are standing there. So he happened to be standing in the front. So he had no clue that all these things happen because he never witnessed it. So we were just standing and closing his eyes, and this is one thing that happens in India also. You go in front of the deity and you close the eyes. So you are standing and closing the eyes. Suddenly there was a huge chunk of water fell on his face. He was shocked. What is this? And then and that was even more intoxicating than the sound of the cautious. And then that was really attractive to him. So he would come every day morning for that. And one day morning when this was happening, Pujari has so much to do. Pujari forgot to offer the water to the devotees. He did whole Mangalati, Tulsi Arti, Narsimha Arti, and then he was going back. The Pujari was going back to the ashram. So this devotee, this person ran behind him. Arey, Swami, Swamiji, Pani Mara. That devotee on spot put water on his face. And eventually he became a devotee. So these two examples I gave of a person who is attracted for a good reason, and then how he became devotee. There are people like we have this Radhesham Prabhu. He was in IIT Bombay. So when he was preaching, he was connected to Juhu Temple. He was preaching there. He just came to Krishna consciousness 1 year. Most of us have come 1 or 2 years now here. So he was enthusiastic to preach, but he didn't know much. So he knew chanting is important, prasadam is there, and if people reject everything, no one rejects prasad. He said, no matter what happens, ultimately you send them for prasadam, they'll be very happy to take. So one boy was standing in the entrance of the temple. I think maybe a little younger than Radhesham Prabhu at that time means what, 1990. And this boy was maybe 17 years. So Prabhuji goes to him and says, would you like to chant something? Class is going to happen, would you like to? So then he says, and ultimately Brahmastra is there. Like, so he said, no, for Prasad also. So Prabhuji was surprised. He said, I have not seen people refusing prasadam also. Why have you come here for that? You don't want to take darshan, you don't want class, you don't want chanting, you want prasad. Then that person, he says, you see that bookstall over there? He said, yeah, whatever. So there in the bookstall, there were two Chinese mothers, young ladies, who were distributing books. He came to see them. That was his motivation to come to ISKCON temple. Bird watch, as they call it. Radhesham was disgusted. He said, what is this? And he walked away. And but this person was having determination. The attraction was very strong. He used to keep coming. One day, one brahmachari caught him and told him come in. So he was attracted to this brahmachari also. So he speaks English also. He is so educated and he's brahmachari in the ashram. Brahmacharis, because they're selfless, they have a lot of attraction for him. So then brahmachari catches him, and then he gives him Bhagavad Gita class, and then eventually he also becomes a brahmachari. So what did he come to do? And what did finally? So he came to cheat Krishna. Krishna cheated him. Right? So initially we need some attraction, good or bad, whatever it is. We need some attraction for Krishna service, for some aspect of Krishna consciousness. Even if a person doesn't have knowledge, doesn't have renunciation, just serving, wanting to serve Krishna, wanting to be in association of Krishna, attraction to some aspect of Krishna consciousness is enough to begin. So now suppose someone may say that, Prabhuji, I am attracted, I am interested, but I see so many of my colleagues in the office or so many of my neighbors in the apartment whom I want them to take to Krishna consciousness, but I don't know, there is not seem to be interested. So what is the solution for that? If somehow or other they can associate with Krishna's devotees, then there is a good chance that they may also become devotees. Like this is and you don't have to be a pure devotee. Right? Like even us who have taken to Krishna in the last 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever number of years, because we have some attraction, that attraction is contagious. And by that attraction, even they get inspired. Like when I was in my first job, ABB, when I was working, I passed out of 4 years of engineering, 3 years I was staying in Boys, I passed out, and my job was in Baroda. I went there, I was working. So, as you can imagine, 4 years of Krishna consciousness, mostly studying and cheap neophyte. So, I went to office, and there they told, okay, from tomorrow we have night shift. That is the biggest pain for devotees. Because devotees prefer to get up early and everything, and if you sleep at 1 o'clock, how will you get up at 4 o'clock? But somehow I was able to manage. So my night shift was from third shift, second shift, afternoon 3:30 to night 12 o'clock. So mostly the other people in the office will go away by 6, 7, general shift. I would remain alone till 12 o'clock. And sometimes there was no work also. So my colleague in the office, he was from Haryana. Right? And he was a little rough and tough person. Those who don't know who Haryana is, they are a little rough and tough people. Little bit you mess up with them, they'll beat you. But he was elder to me. So he allowed me like a younger brother. And he saw that to gali nahi deta hai, you don't eat onion garlic also, you don't eat anything outside, you don't do politics also, you don't. So he should protect you of me. So one day we both had same second shift and there was no work at all. So I was reading Bhagavatam in my laptop on the database.com. So 7 o'clock, night, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. So I was reading because that is new for me also. Whereas this person, he took WhatsApp for 15 minutes, YouTube for 20 minutes, and then he was getting frustrated. And then he asked me, he came to me and he saw that, oh, that's how it's gone. That same ISKCON sends money abroad and there's a bar paisa. Then I told him, no, that's not true. Then I explained, and I have no job to do also. And I'm trapped with one person. And tremendous preaching opportunity because I don't know anything. So then we were speaking. I gave him videos. Then same old question where bad things happen to good people. And I told him we have a systematic course going on in Bhagavad Gita temple. Sunday afternoon, if not, he can come. Then I had to take 2 years not married back then. So he comes to temple. I go to receive him. First time he comes, he's wearing a short, sleeveless, muscles also, and wearing sunglasses, and one gamcha also. He's holding it. He comes to the class and he sits in the class. And because he's Haryana, he's Indian, whichever Haryana, Gujarat, whatever it is, he knows basic storyline of most of the pastimes. Ramayana, Mahabharata, temple of what you should do, you should be submissive and everything. He hears the whole class. And after the class of 3 hours, we had 3 hours of discussion with Prasad. And another class telling about this. This happened for 3, 4 weeks. And then he picked up Krishna consciousness. 2 rounds he started, 4 rounds he started. And then by the time he came to 8 rounds, I came back to Bangalore. My one year of work was done. I came back to Bangalore. And after that, one day I get a call saying, probably my name is no longer Parveen. My name is Padmanabhan Krishna Prabhu. So this is an example of how people pick up. Right? And even if we are not pure devotees, whatever attraction we have, if we share with them, and they may even advance faster. Because bhakti is not one life process. So I may be at 2%, but he may be at 90%. And in this life, I came first. And I'm doing my 3, 4, struggling to do 5, 6%. And you come in touch with him and you connect him to some powerful senior devotee, immediately 92, 93, 94, he advances faster than us. So that's why attraction, association of Krishna's devotees, through that, we'll be able to develop attraction for practicing Krishna consciousness. So the stronger is attraction to Krishna consciousness, the more one is qualified to advance in sadhana. That is the only qualification. Because in bhakti there is no remuneration. You don't give promotion, you don't give salary. The only fuel in Krishna consciousness is attraction. So suppose once we start the attraction, how do we go ahead? Okay, initially we like Prasad. Initially we had some good experiences. And many times people confuse spiritual with sentimental. You go out with your friends to some hill station, and that hill station happened, that particular day happened to be a very good atmosphere. Many people feel it was a spiritual experience because it's connected to nature. But actually speaking, it is actually a sentimental, emotional. It's good, no problem. Nothing wrong with having such experiences. But let us not confuse between spiritual and sentimental experience. So we may pick up Krishna consciousness, we may like to do services, we may like to specific service we may have which we may like to do, like washing vessels, or this example that I gave, conch shell or water or prasad or whatever. But for it to sustain over a period of time, after that's a starting point, like a free trial. We have free trial for maybe now we get Ola, Uber. I remember first 6 rides were free on Ola initially. Now though it is then above 300 everything. So first 6 rides are similarly initially their inspiration is there. But to go from that inspiration to dedication, to steadiness, to sustainability, we need inspiration from Shastra. So there are 3, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So when we study from scriptures, when we read more and more scriptures, like when I was practicing Krishna consciousness, I can say my very important milestone was when I came across this verse in Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna asks Krishna, what if you are telling me to practice Krishna consciousness or you are telling me to practice Karma Yoga, do my duty, and for that I need to see, I have my time is limited. I can either enjoy, do whatever I want, or I can follow the process of Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti I am not so attracted right now, but I can force myself, no issue. But time is limited. So what if at the end of my life when I die, I am not able to reach 100% success? Then waste. I struggled so much. I gave up the enjoyment also, whatever I wanted to do, and I didn't achieve success also. So then Krishna tells to that no, whatever progress you have made, that remains. And in the next life, whenever suppose you don't finish 100%, next life you start from there. So when we hear these instances from scriptures, basically what's happening, our mind has doubts, and when the doubts get cleared, then we get more faith. So reading scriptures and associating with Guru. Who is a Guru? Who is a walking, talking scripture basically. Guru is a person whose life is scripture. So most of us have heard of Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana before, and many of us might have even felt it's impractical. Not practical in Kali, right? Whatever Bhagavad Gita, Sita, all those things are very practical. And that's the reason probably most people don't like to take to Krishna consciousness or spirituality as such. It's impractical. But when we see a person practically living in Kali, 21st century, in the world of smartphone, digital laptop, and everything, and still able to purely practice principles of Krishna consciousness, then we get more faith. I want to become like him, or I want to serve him. That is the power of associating with Guru and Shastra. So the more once faith comes in, more on study scriptures or takes association of gurus, two things happen: faith and knowledge. This increases, and through that he'll be able to advance further. But if a person is just attracted to that one activity, okay, I like watch results, I like only prasad, then it may take longer period of time. But when a person is able to associate with Shastra and Guru, then he can advance much faster. So scriptures, they actually distinguish three categories of devotees based on the advancement. Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, Uttama Adhikari. Okay. So now someone may say that okay, bro, like in many of the companies, it is there. Okay, first 1 year is honeymoon period in the company. You just joined the company, you don't know anything, you're learning phase, whatever mistakes you make will be forgiven. At the same time, whatever ideas you give will not be taken seriously. This is the honeymoon period, 1 year or 2 years out. And then the next 3-4 years, we learn to pick up things and we are dependable now, and then eventually the journey starts. In Krishna consciousness, because it's difficult to say who's on what level of Krishna consciousness, rather than when you came or how much time you spent in ISKCON or in spiritual life, the segregation is based on this. So Kanishta Adhikari, so at the third level, so Uttama Adhikari can be said first class people, Madhyama Adhikari second class, Kanishta Adhikari third class. Now when you say third class, it doesn't mean that it is useless. That the third class is used for useless, like AC, sleeper class, general class, or not a general compartment. So that's not the idea here. The idea is that Kanishta Adhikari is less qualified, Uttama Adhikari is more qualified. And the beauty is, although Uttama Adhikari is more qualified, he never feels himself qualified. He never says, I am Uttama Adhikari, take my association. He never says, I am Uttama Adhikari, massage my feet. So the more one advances, the more one feels that he is not advanced. He has no devotion. Like if we have Haridas Thakur and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Haridas Thakur is literally called as Namacharya. And who gave the title to him himself? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has come to the Yuga to establish Harinam Sankirtan as Yuga Dharma, he has given title to Haridas Thakur that you are Namacharya. So when this Haridas Thakur was in the pastimes of Chaitanya Charitamrita, when his body was growing older and older, at one point, and he was literally chanting 22 hours every day. He didn't taking rest, cleaning, having bath, talking to people, everything in 2 hours. Exact opposite of what we are doing. We are chanting 2 hours every day, at most 2 hours. 16 hours because somebody is chanting 2 hours at least. And then 22 hours goes in everything else. So this is the classic difference between Kanishta and Uttama. Exact opposite of each other. So when he was leaving his body, he was becoming old. Mahaprabhu knew that okay, he seems to be wanting to end his manifest pastimes in the material world. So Mahaprabhu says that what will I do without your association? So Haridas Thakur says, what are you saying? Why are you joking? Why are you making fun of me? Mahaprabhu. If one ant dies somewhere, what difference does it make to the world? That is what Haridas Thakur is thinking about himself. Which platform is he on? Vrindavan. So Kanishta Adhikari is so depending upon faith and knowledge. How strong is faith? How strong is knowledge? Categorization of you is made. Kanishta, Madhyama. So if a faith is weak and easily swayed, right? So if suppose we are taken to Krishna consciousness, we don't know much philosophy, and we meet someone who gives very strong philosophy or very strong questions. He may ask, have you seen soul? What is the good that soul exists? And if you are not reading Bhagavad Gita properly, and most of the time in class people tend to sleep also, they miss the important points. And then when such strong question comes, you're not able to answer, you think, this world doesn't exist. Similarly, when we say we are taking prasad, and some atheists may say, what is this prasad? This prasad is food offered to Krishna. And then this ask, oh, have you seen Krishna statue coming and eating that prasad? Or have you seen Krishna coming out of the photo and eating the prasad? And when you hear these questions, then if a person is Kanishta Adhikari, may get easily disturbed in the mind. On top of that, he cannot counter argue also. So faith is weak, and to counter argue, you need knowledge. That is also not there. So that is Kanishta Adhikari. Madhyama Adhikari is someone who knows the philosophy, may not be able to counter very strong arguments, but he is convinced himself. Whatever argument you give, I don't care. I'm going to continue chanting. Whether if you want to hear, I am ready to speak. Whatever little bit I know. Otherwise, like carry on. That is a Madhyama Adhikari. Good, but can't always repeat opposite. Uttama Adhikari is someone who is strong and convinced, and who can convince the opposite party also. Like Prabhupada, he was once asked by a reporter, saying that Swami, you're doing so much Hare Krishna all the time. What if at the time of death, suddenly you realize, okay, there is a Krishna only. This whole thing was just, some people made up this Bhagavad Gita and everything and chant Hare Krishna. Then what will you do? So this is one of the arguments that I heard in my early classes. This is where I was really inspired by. I was thinking, what would I say? Suppose my friends come and ask me this question. What will you say? So then, anyone has heard this question? What Prabhupada says? No, that's a different question. Even if Krishna is not there, so for argument's sake, Krishna is not there. Still, how did I live my life? I followed regulative principles. It was a clean life, pure life, healthy life. Because early to rise, early to bed, rich, healthy wise. Straight up in the morning, we're chanting Hare Krishna. Absolute strangers. We are making friendship, we are exchanging so much affection, we are feeding prasad, taking prasad. Right? And because we are not gambling, we are not doing intoxication, our health is good, our mental health is also good. Lakshmi also is saved. Right? And finally, living a happy life. Then Prabhupada asks the reporter the question. Suppose you, when you are dying, suddenly you realize Krishna exists. What will you do? Because whole life you disregarded Krishna, you didn't follow any principles. The sinful or not, you did it anyway. And now what will you do? So this kind of arguments, see, we may say, wow, what a nice answer. But this is not an intellectual answer. This has come from Prabhupada's personal conviction. That is the difference. When a person speaks without conviction, or a person has borrowed someone else's answers. So it will be very clear to distinguish. So today we will discuss what is the difference. We quickly go through how these three, and the scriptures are very, very clear. Especially what I've seen in this one. Things are like we say in business also. What can be measured can be managed. So whatever you can measure, like okay, 3, 4, 5 like that, you can manage it also. So similarly, what this is something I appreciated in this one was things are very clear. Right? Like how many regulative principles? How many rounds of chanting Hare Krishna? Whatever number, some numbers are there, 4, 5, 10, whatever. 16. How many? There is something called as 4 regulative principles, and then there are 64 regulative principles also. Right? You may get short. My God, 64. 64. That's not like the 4 regulative principles. 64 is like taking darshan. That is one principle of the deities. Taking charanamrit, second one. Worshipping Tulsi, third one. And singing, doing kirtan in front of the deities, fourth one. Right? Paying obeisances, fifth one. So if you have come for today's morning Mangalarti, out of the 64, 50 you have already followed. And one of them you are following right now, listening to the Katha of the Lord. So there are 64 relative principles. Similarly, there are 8 stages of advancement in devotion. I don't know if you have heard of this. Ado Shraddha, Nato, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Priya. 9. So the 9 stages of devotion. Similarly, there are 3 types of devotees based on faith and knowledge, and further we will see how to identify. So, one thing that I've seen about this one is the philosophy is crystal clear. There is an ambiguity. Although, see, faith and knowledge is not something you can measure. Half kg faith, 2 kg knowledge. It's cannot be measured like that. But still, you can quantify it, and that's what we will see today. So, this is a beautiful verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. It says, Shraddha Shabde Vishwasa Kahe Sudrida Nishchay, Krishna Bhakti Kaye Sarva Karma Krita. What is faith? So we spoke about 2 things before this. So first we need attraction. And for attraction to sustain, we need association of Shastras and Guru. What do we get from Shastras and Guru? 2 things. What is that? Faith and knowledge. So here we describe what is faith. So this verse basically says, Shraddha or faith is a firm faith. What is faith? By rendering transcendental loving service to Krishna, all other subsidiary activities will be taken care of. That favorable faith is called faith in discharge of devotional service is called faith. So faith means conviction that goal of life is to please Krishna and abandon all other desires. Now, when we hear this, it may appear that but Prabhuji, I have a job, I have children, I have duties, so I can give time to Krishna consciousness. But then does it, if I'm doing my job and duties, does it mean that I don't have faith? That's not the idea here. The idea here is, see, we have 24 hours. After coming to Krishna consciousness, that doesn't become 48. In a day, we have 24 hours only. So, whatever Krishna consciousness we are doing, with what faith we are doing, with what intensity we are doing, that is actually defined as faith. So, when we are chanting Hare Krishna,